The big names in free agency have been signed. That means we need to check in on every NFL team and power rank them. But in honor of March Madness, let's do it March Madness style, ranking 16-1 in the NFC and then 16-1 in the AFC. Before I do, Gronk spike the like button and subscribe to The Bottom Line View for more NFL. Let's roll with the NFC. At number 16, the New York Giants. Eli Manning outlasted Odell Beckham Jr. and Landon Collins in New York. That to me is disgraceful. Not only that, but this team has stripped away all of its talent and packaged them all for draft picks. Outside of Zeitler, I think upgraded their offensive line. Everything is gone from bad to worse for the New York Giants. At number 15, the Washington Redskins. Oh, the Redskins. Another season, another complete mess of a roster and identity. They lost Preston Smith, they lost Jamison Crowder, and they lost Zach Brown. They went all in on Landon Collins after just flat out releasing a very similar style player in DJ Swearinger. It'll be nice to see Geis back and healthy, but this might be the NFL's dullest team in 2019. At number 14, the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, I think, made some good offseason moves. Terrell Suggs and Brooks Reed, I think, will help on the edge with Chandler Jones. Hicks was a great signing for the middle of their defense, a guy that I think can do everything, especially cover. And even though Alford hasn't played his best recently, that's an upgrade at corner for whatever they had last year. Offensively, I think Gilbert will be huge in pass protection for whoever plays quarterback, and that's the question with the Cardinals. Who is going to play quarterback? At number 13, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Jameis Winston's last shot to prove himself. Don't expect the Bucs to win the division, but if Jameis can play well, then he can be promised the future in Tampa Bay. Losing both Deshaun Jackson and Humphreys definitely won't help, but I do like what Tampa has done, bringing in a great group of coaches with Arians on offense and Bowles on defense, and one of my personal favorite signings was Shaq Barrett. At number 12, the Carolina Panthers. It's all about Cam with the Panthers. Is he healthy? Is this new diet going to work? There's just so many questions. The Panthers signed one of the game's best centers in Matt Paredes, retained Darrell Williams at right tackle, which was an underrated huge move, and I like the add of Bruce Irvin to replace Peppers. This team goes as Cam goes, so until further notice, they're looking on the outside of the playoffs. At number 11, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons just had one of those seasons last year. Everything went bad for them. Ton of injuries. Matt Ryan was really good last year. Julio Jones was really good last year. They couldn't really establish a running game, but now Devontae Freeman is back, so that will help. And they're revamping their entire corner core. They haven't really added anybody besides replacing players along the offensive line and on the defense. So they're about the same roster. It's just about staying healthy with Atlanta. At number 10, the Detroit Lions. Last season at this time, I was really down on the Lions. This offseason, they improved and attacked their biggest weaknesses. The difference maker on the D-line with Trey Flowers, a good slot corner with Justin Coleman, a reliable wide receiver in Danny Amendola, and a tight end in Jesse James. The Lions are still a few players away from being a playoff team, but they have very much helped Matt Stafford, who I think will bounce back this upcoming season. The Minnesota Vikings. Guys, do you know what the offensive line is? It's kind of important, and it's been your biggest weakness now for many seasons. It's honestly sad that everyone is going to blame Kirk Cousins, but when you only have 2 seconds to throw every play, it's kind of hard to make anything happen. Even though they're an average team, they have a few sexy players here and there with Diggs, Thielen, Cook, but this isn't the same team it was 2 years ago. The team is very, very top heavy right now, and the depth is severely lacking. At number 8, the Seattle Seahawks. The Hawks didn't do much outside of sign their own. They added Ayupati on the offensive line. They retained Clark and Wright on defense. They lost Justin Coleman, which I think is going to be a tough loss at the slot corner position, who was one of their better guys last season. But the Seattle Seahawks are very much like the NFC's Colts. They're a quarterback who can carry a team with a young supporting cast. At number 7, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas will soak up a lot of hate, but they still have a pretty talented roster. Travis Frederick didn't play all last year, so hopefully he can come back this year and be a huge add for both the running game and the passing game. Cole Beasley is a tough loss, but Cobb should be adequate in that role. They lost some depth on the defensive line with Irving and Gregory, but it's still a strength. Adding Covington should help their run defense with his big body in the middle. And the big question for the boys is, how creative is their new offense going to be? That's what I'm paying attention to. At number 6, the San Francisco 49ers. I love the 49ers this year, guys. I think they can win the division. As long as Jimmy G stays healthy, Kyle Shanahan, he is a genius, and he can work with whatever offensively. It helps that you have arguably the best tight end in the game in George Kittle. I think Trent Taylor coming back will actually help them more than people think. I don't think that they need Coleman necessarily, but he was awesome with Kyle in Atlanta, so hey, why not? Dee Ford is a huge pass rush help, and I think he will make Buckner even better inside. Quan Alexander gives them a Bobby Wagner type of talent for their Seattle scheme. I don't know, guys. I'm really liking the potential here in San Francisco, and plus they have the number 2 pick, so I'm excited. At number 5, the Green Bay Packers. They've shot up all the way up these power rankings. I've been harsh on the Packers in the past for not putting a team around Aaron Rodgers, but this free agency, they really attempted to do just that. And honestly, don't sleep on the Packers defense. I know that's crazy to say, but Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith on the edge. You got Kenny Clark, Mike Daniels in the middle, and then you have Martinez at linebacker. This is a really talented front seven. Jari Alexander is a stud at corner, and Adrian Amos will be a huge improvement at safety for all he can do for a defense. Billy Turner upgrades one of their biggest weaknesses at guard. Aaron Jones gives them a running game, and if they can add another wide receiver, this team can be absolutely dangerous. At number 4, the Chicago Bears. It's your time, Mitch. It's on you, Trubisky. I think it's make or break for the Bears this year in terms of the evolution of their quarterback. We need to see those next level strides this season from Trubisky. I think we might, though. It's the second year in Nagy's system with a pretty good supporting cast of weapons. Losing Vic Fangio, I think, stings a lot, no doubt. But this team really has no weaknesses across the board, and they have arguably the best defense on paper in the NFL. So if they can put a top 10 offense on the field, that will make them dangerous. The Bears, to me, did a good job replacing who they lost. I like the Patterson ad as a jack of all trades, and Clinton Dix did come at a nice contract, but this year, this team will face the pressure of expectations. At number 3, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are basically the same team they were. One thing I will say is I'm not really sure about Drew Brees. Yes, he was pretty awesome last season, but he definitely wasn't the same guy in the playoffs. I think part of that was weapons, and part of that was teams noticing that his deep ball and his fastball have diminished. I really like the Jared Cook ad. Giving Brees a top 7-ish tight end is never a bad thing, especially one as athletic as Cook. Otherwise, they bring in the big man Malcolm Brown to help beef up the front. They lose some depth on the edge with Okafor, who was underrated for them, and replace retired Unger with Easton from the Vikings, and the departed Ingram with Latavius Murray. The Saints will be in the mix, but they may have missed their shot. I'd like to see them add to their secondary or their edge position in the draft. At number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're certainly a contender this season. They have the makings of a potent offense. I love the Deshaun Jackson trade to add to Jeffrey, Ertz, and Aguilar. Wentz certainly has his mix of weapons. Jackson gives them a deep threat, a speed guy to stretch out the defense. Their offensive line is still elite. Their defensive line's arguably the best in the NFL, and getting those guys back in the secondary will be a huge help for them as well. Look out for the Eagles. At number 1, the LA Rams. The Rams are a team who collect a lot of talent, and they really worry about their identity later. I do feel like they have somewhat gotten worse, though. They lost Saffold on offense, and that offensive line has taken a big hit. Losing Sue on defense is something. He played really well in the playoffs. Clay Matthews does replace Barron. Give them a different type of player there, a little bit more pass rushing productivity. Eric Weddle replaces Joyner. And their biggest addition really is Cooper Kupp. Weddle and Matthews, I think, will add experience and leadership to the defense. The Rams are still very talented, but they've replaced younger talent with older guys, and eventually that just won't work. So that is my 16-1 for the NFC. Let's go over to the AFC and rank it. At number 16, the Miami Dolphins. I don't even know what to say about the Dolphins. This is a tank job at its finest. They've even signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is arguably the greatest tank job quarterback of all time because he's impossible to predict. I feel like Flores is going to have a really tough time, and I feel for him, but this roster is just so bad. At number 15, the Raiders. Yes, the Raiders at 15, not any higher. AB is great. And yeah, Trent Brown is very solid at left tackle, but have you seen this defense? On that note, Vontaze Burfict was meant to play for this team. Like, he is a Raider through and through. It's a wait and see for Oakland for me. They'll probably move up after the draft. At number 14, the Cincinnati Bengals. Another year, another Bengals roster that is kind of underrated. They still have AJ Green, they have Boyd, they have Mixon, they have Atkins, they have Lawson, Jackson. They have a lot of talent, but they just don't have the coach or the quarterback to take them anywhere. Dalton isn't bad, but it's time for a change at that position. For the most part, they've stayed put, and I don't really think that that was necessarily a bad move. At number 13, the Denver Broncos. With Vic Fangio and the Broncos defense, I think this is a really, really good chance that this is a top tier unit. Jackson and Callahan were excellent additions to Chris Harris in the secondary. We already know about Chubb and Miller. Juwan James, although expensive, is a worthwhile tackle. Flacco, no John, he's not in his prime, but he is better than Case. So hey, I kind of like what the Broncos have done. At number 12, the Buffalo Bills. The Bills gave Josh Allen some budget toys, but they were better than the garage sale toys that he had before. Brown and Beasley are two complete opposite type of receivers. You have a dependable slot receiver and a deep threat type of receiver, so that should mix well with Josh Allen. I'm intrigued on Croft, and even though it was a lot of money, Morse was a good add. Defensively, they were already good. If Josh can make that jump, I have the confidence this team can be competitive. At number 11, the Jaguars. Nick Foles. He may have gotten paid, but he's still a big upgrade over Blake Bortles, so that's why they shoot up in the rankings. Chris Connolly was a sneaky add to the wide receiver core, and the defense is still loaded. I know they got rid of some players, but just take a look at their depth chart. At number 10, the Baltimore Ravens. Man, this looks like growing pains for Lamar Jackson. I like the Mark Ingram move, but the cap-strapped Ravens are in a real tough spot without defensive leader Mosley and a really good player in Zadarius Smith. Earl Thomas is still a beast, and he's going to help that secondary, no doubt about it. But Lamar Jackson has no weapons to throw to at this point. This must be addressed in the draft, and I'll consider moving them up. At number 9, the Jets. The Jets loaded up, and I'm here for it. This is a throwback to the 2009 Jets. Crowder is the perfect slot receiver for Darnold, forming a nice wide receiver group with Enunwa and Anderson. Le'Veon Bell is that centerpiece that can establish an identity and help their young quarterback. And as Bell does that for the offense, Mosley does that for the defense. Plus, Osemele was the steal of free agency. At number 8, the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's roster, top to bottom, is actually probably better than a couple of other teams above them on this list, and I really like their free agent moves, but their quarterback spot to me is a huge question mark. Tannehill is the perfect Mariota backup. He literally is the same player. Adam Humphries was a great, reliable add at wide receiver, and Roger Saffold, is just what they needed at guard. They get Delaney Walker back, and Cam Wake can still go on the edge. I like this team. I just don't love Marcus at quarterback. At number 7, the Houston Texans. When are the Texans going to fix their offensive line? Like, seriously, they had all this salary cap and they really didn't do anything. And losing Kareem Jackson and the Honey Badger does hurt, but I like the Roby signing. The Gibson signing, I think, will help improve their big play defense in their secondary. And the big thing to me is, if Will Fuller can stay healthy, their offense is extremely difficult to contain. At number 6, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, guys, the Steelers are still really talented. Just look at their roster. They have one of the most underrated pass rushing groups in the NFL with TJ Watt, Hayward, Hargrave, and Tuitt. Nelson improves one of their corner spots, and their offensive line is still incredible. Yes, they lost AB, but at least they put out the fire. Big Ben is still a baller, and Connor, Juju, and McDonald, not a bad set of playmakers. At number 5, the Cleveland Browns. I feel like some of you just clicked on this video to see where they're at. And yeah, they're number 5 in the AFC. Look, Odell is going to absolutely explode on the NFL this year. He will make the Browns better everywhere. He's going to make Landry better. He's going to make Chubb better. He's going to make Njoku better. He's going to make his offensive line better. And yeah, he's going to make Mayfield better. That move catapulted the Browns into the AFC contender status. I don't know if I should have said that because it's still the Browns, but I said it. Vernon was a nice add to complement Garrett, and Richardson should help the interior of the defensive line. They still have holes, but this team is young, hungry, and dynamic. At number 4, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts seemingly had a head-scratching free agency. With all that money, they just stayed put until they signed Justin Houston, who addressed a huge need as a pass rusher and gave them another threat to go after the quarterback. The Colts are one of those teams who need to capitalize on their window quickly, or else it will close just as quick as it came. I didn't mind the Funchess ad, a big receiver who can make contested catches. I love Andrew Luck, who's behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Frank Reich is brilliant, and they have a young roster that I think will just naturally grow. At number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. This roster is already drastically different, and really not in a good way. Starting center Mitch Morse is gone. Leading pass rushers D Ford, Justin Houston are also gone, and arguably their best corner from last season, Steven Nelson, has left as well. That's not even mentioning Chris Connolly and Eric Berry. But hey, this team still has the man, Patrick MVP Mahomes. They have Travis Kelce, and for now, Tyreek Hill. The Honey Badger provides some versatility and a chess piece to the back end. The offense is incredibly explosive, and the scheme change defensively with Spagnuolo, I think, will be a good one. At number 2, the LA Chargers. People forget that the Chargers were actually 12-4 last season, and they split with the Kansas City Chiefs. Thomas Davis adds depth and leadership. A healthy Hunter Henry is a nice addition, and I'm pumped to see what Mike Williams can do without Tyrell Williams there to take his targets away. The Chargers, if Rivers can continue to sustain his performance, will again be a contender in this conference. And at number 1, did you expect anything other than the New England Patriots? The Super Bowl champs may have lost Flowers and Brown, but I love the pickup of big man Mike Pennell. They get back from injury 3 key young pieces in Wynn, Bentley, and Dawson, and have the most picks in the upcoming draft. Those are the power rankings for the NFL, March Madness style. I hope you guys enjoyed these post-free agency power rankings. The next power rankings will likely come out after the draft, but let me know what you guys think about these power rankings. Again, this is only after free agency. I'm not assuming any draft picks in this mix yet until we get post-draft season. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Mitch from The Bottom Line View. Peace.